Hey guys, Mindy Sunshine here of Orcas Island Leather Goods, and today I'm going to show you how to assemble our palm wallet kit. It's a super fun and easy kit, only 2 pieces of leather and 1 stitch line. And I'm going to be doing it today in our cognac leather with mustard thread. You can see we do put our logo on the back of the wallet. I've actually just switched recently to doing a smaller logo in the bottom corner. So if you have a preference about which one you get, you can always put that in the notes. Okay, so for those of you who are familiar with how to saddle stitch leather, maybe you've done one of our kits before, the short version of how this is going to go is that the top piece folds right over this back piece, and you can see that creates a card pocket on each side and this little space in the middle, which is where you're going to put your cash. You're going to start up at this top hole. The first 4 holes, you're only really stitching this back piece of leather together. And then at the 5th hole is when this one gets added in. So it's 1 stitch line, start up here, go all the way down to the last hole, and you're going to back stitch and then finish on this back side. And that's it. So for those of you who are perhaps newer to kits, let me walk you through how we're going to do this. First thing we're going to do is measure our stitch line so that we get the proper thread length. There's nothing less fun than working on a project and then running out of thread partway through. So usually for a lot of products, we'll say that you need 4 times the length of your stitch line. So the length of your stitch line is basically from that top hole all the way to the last hole. So that's 1 length. But because this product is a little bit thick, you're going to be going through 4 pieces of leather. I'm going to say let's actually go for 6 times this length. So I'm going to measure that just by folding those over. So let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can always just use a little extra. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is thread our needles. If you need a more detailed description of how to do that, you always can look at our how to hand stitch video. But basically, you're just going to put your thread through the eye of the needle. You're going to turn the pointy side around towards the tail. You're going to pierce through your thread with that pointy side. And then you're going to pull this tail over the eye of your needle and cinch it up. So that's one side done. And then you're just going to repeat and do the exact same thing on the other side of your thread. Alrighty, once you have a needle on each side, you're ready to start stitching. So what we're going to do is called a saddle stitch. Again, if you need more detail, we have that how to hand stitch video, which will walk you through all the steps, including what to do if you hit a snag where your needle gets stuck in your thread or anything like that. But basically, you're going to put the thread through your top hole, even out your needle so you have the same amount of thread on both sides of the hole, and then top needle goes through the next hole. You're going to hold that thread kind of back and out of the way so that the other needle can come back through the exact same hole. And then you pull both sides tight. And that's it. That's a saddle stitch. That's the first one. And you can remember that we're going to be adding in this top piece when we reach the 5th hole. So I'm just going to go ahead here and do 3 more, or I guess 2 more saddle stitches. So I'll have 3 total. So my top needle goes in, hold the back, I hold that one back and out of the way. Back needle goes through that same hole. Pull tight. All right, we're ready to add in our top piece. Now, typically in our videos, you'll hear us saying that you always want to be starting with the top needle first. In this project, it's kind of up to you what's your front side of your wallet and which is your back side. But basically what you want to be thinking of is whichever side you consider the front of your wallet, start with that needle first. The important part is that you're always starting with the same needle. It's what's going to help your stitches lay nice and flat. Now, I just did the stitch that kind of crosses over onto the second layer, and so you really want to pull nice and tight on that one. And you can see that since all the holes are already in place and already lined up, it's not taking any strength, or you don't have to push hard. If everything's lined up properly, your needle just slides right through. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep on stitching all the way around until I get to the last hole, and then I'll come back on video and show you what to do next. Hey guys. All right, I'm back. Took me about, I don't know, maybe 4 minutes to just go through and finish that stitch line. I'm doing the last saddle stitch right now. And I'm going to pull that one really, really tight because I want the bottom of my wallet to be nice and firmly closed. All right, so the next step is what we call back stitching. So that's literally just what it sounds. You're going to go right back over the stitches you've just done. Now, when you're typically stitching, you're trying to be careful to not pierce your threads. That's why we hold the first thread back and out of the way. When you're back stitching, it's not something you need to worry about. It's okay if it pierces a thread. So all you need to do is just go right back through those holes. Now you will see that back stitching can be just a tiny bit harder because there's not as much room in those holes anymore. And so if you get stuck and it feels like, I can't pull that needle through, what I find helps is you just wiggle it a little. Wiggle, wiggle, and then it'll come right through. Okay, so right now what I just did was 2 back stitches. So let's see if you can see that there, 1, 2. And what we want to do is what's called 2.5, because what we want is our 2 needles to end up on the same side of our piece, whichever side you consider the back side. So for this one, I'm going to consider this the front, and I'll consider the side with our logo the back. So what I'll do is I'll bring just this needle through the next hole, pull nice and tight, and I'm going to clip these thread ends. And when I clip those thread ends, what I'm looking for is just a tiny little bit of thread sticking out. I'd say that's probably about 1/8 of an inch, if you can see that there. And then your last step is you're going to melt the thread ends. A lighter works perfectly fine for this. So with the lighter, you're going to light your lighter and just hold the heat near this thread end and it's going to melt. I'm using this little thread burner instead right now, which is going to just melt that thread end, and then I'm going to press it down. But the process is the same if you're using a lighter or a match. And what happens is once you melt those and you press that down, it's like it creates a little pinhead so that that thread can never pull out. Okay, so that's it. This is our palm wallet designed to fit really comfortably in your front pocket. Remember, if this is a gift, you can always ask us to monogram or put a name on it. If you are having any problem with your assembling a kit, just reach out. We're always here to help. You can email us, call us, or reach out through our website. Have a great day. Thanks so much.